and welcome to another episode of Junk Journal with me. We are working in my April journal, and I wanted to do a page with a pocket and a tag, and the theme is going to be Easter, since I did actually have already an Easter spread in my March journal, but I found this very cute tablecloth at a secondhand store a few days ago. I mean, look at that. It's not embroidered, it's printed, but I thought it was so cute. So I cut out a few pieces of the design, and I was going to try to make a tag with one of those images and put it into a pocket, because those were just too cute to not do anything with. So that's what I'll be doing for this spread. I'm starting off by making the pocket, and I'm using just a marbled cardstock that can be anything, and I chose this font from a book that I found at Goodwill recently, and I really love that font, so I'm ripping out that page and going to glue that onto that cardstock so it has a little more substance. So first I'm measuring how big I need the pocket to be, looking at the page I want it to be on. And I actually thought first I was going to make it into a rectangle, but then while I was cutting I decided no, I wanted it to actually be cut like that, like a triangle shape, and I decided to put it vertically like this so it's standing up. So now all I'm doing is tracing that same shape onto the book page, and then I'm cutting that out. And now I'm just going to glue one on top of the other. And of course I'm going to ink. And by the way, I had asked in my last video if the speed of my videos is too fast, and most of you said the speed was perfect actually. But I know some of the viewers that are newer to journaling and junk journaling requested it to be a little slower. So one tip I got from a viewer, and I tried this myself, is if you look on your YouTube video window, on the bottom right you have this little cogwheel. If you click that, that's your settings. You can change the speed, so you can do that anytime. You can change it multiple times during a video, and you have the speed that you need. So I think that way it should work for everyone, and yeah, I think I'll just keep doing what I'm doing, and you can adjust the speed as suits your needs. So thank you for that tip, by the way. I didn't know that either. So here I'm just going through some botanical images that I had cut out from a floral book, and I was trying to decide between these two yellow ones, what would work best, and I actually decided to go for this little bit darker yellow, because the other one just kind of was too much of the same bright yellow. So here I'm just fussy cutting that floral image. And that fits perfectly on that little page. On that little pocket. And I am inking that up again. And then I decided and then first I'm gluing down the pocket, so I'm just gluing the two outer sides. And then I thought I want some different texture on the pocket as well. So I had this small piece of cheesecloth that I'm going to just glue under the floral image. And it's just a very faint accent. You hardly can see it through the camera, especially. You can hardly see it once it's glued in between there. But it does just add a little something extra. It adds another texture. And I'm just gluing that down with my tacky glue, and you'll see I will hold it up to the camera once That flower is on there. But I do try to add a additional texture wherever I can, because it just adds so much more interest. And you want to touch the things, right? I mean, I don't know, I always like to go over my pages with my hands, because it's so nice to feel all the different textures. So there you can just barely see it behind the flower. So here I'm trying to decide which one of the three images I wanted to use, and I decided to go with this one with the two little chicks. And so I again wanted some writing on the background, but I didn't want the same one that was on the pocket, because that would have just been too much. So I choose this German magazine that I had gotten from Angel, and I wanted to use this tag shape. It was packaging from an AliExpress purchase. And so what I'm doing now is I'm tracing that tag onto my marbled cardstock, and I'm just cutting out that same tag shape. And now I'm going to do the same for the book page. Cutting that out with my scissors. You could also use your paper trimmer. I'm just erasing my pencil lines there. I'm just seeing where the image would fit best, and I wanted to put it more towards the bottom because I wanted to write Happy Easter over that. So next what am I doing? What am I actually doing? Yeah, I had to also cover the back because there was a line on that paper. So I am choosing something from this paper pad. I believe it's AliExpress, so if I find it, I will link that below. I'm just trying to see which paper would work best. I did kind of like this pink. I always like pink, but I didn't like those two pinks together. I did like this one because it kind of worked with the yellow of the flowers, and I kind of like the images it has on it, this old typewriter. And I like the fact that on some of it there's an image and there's writing, but some of it is left empty, so you could still journal on it if you wanted to, and I might do that at a later point. Next step is then to glue the book page onto that cardstock. And then I'm going to take that little piece of fabric and I'm going to sew it on with my sewing machine. And there, I think I've sewed it. You can hardly see it because I used white thread. So yeah, I've just sewn that on before I put the back of the tag on it, because otherwise you would see the stitching through, which I did not want. So I'm just gluing that on now, and I'm again going to sew around the sides of the tag. Just trying to put that on straight. Okay, so here I'm just back from sewing that on. Again, it's very hard to see, but on the back side you will see. And I had a little disagreement with my sewing machine, so you see there's this huge chaos there. And usually I wouldn't really mind, but it was kind of too big because it had to go into that pocket. So I just cut that all off. And that worked out nicely. So yeah, now it's all good. So next I'm of course inking all the edges again, but I'm just doing it very faintly this time, front and back. And then I'm looking for something on which I could stamp my Happy Easter, and I'm using my Recollections clickable alpha set. I got these from Michael's last summer. If you're not in the States, you can find something similar on Amazon, not from Recollections, but from other companies, and they look like this. They just might be in a different color. But just search for clickable alphabet stamps, and you'll get some options. So I decided to stamp it on this book page, which is the same paper as the back of, or the front of the card. And the reason why I chose that was so that it has the same tone of white. So I just found a space that had some just some blank space, and I just wrote Happy Easter, and now I'm just tearing those two words. I didn't want them to have a straight cut edge, and it's very easy to just do that with your ruler. And this way it's straight, because whenever I try to cut these things out by hand, for the life of me, I cannot cut a straight line. I don't know why. And of course I'm inking these. But before I wanted to glue them down, I wanted to decide what I was going to put as a topper, because maybe I would have to adjust where to exactly put that Happy Easter. So here I'm going to my ribbons drawer and trying to find a few options for what might work on that tag. So once I knew the ribbon, I knew what sort of hole I needed to put in the tag, and that would also help me then decide where to exactly put the Happy Easter. So I'm choosing 3 different ribbons that I think would all go well, and now I'm just trying to eliminate 2 of them to see what's the best option. So I really like these. These are from Miyuki, and I really like the combination of those 3 colors, something I probably would never have come up with, this orange, pink, and white, but I really think it's cute. This is a sample piece of a sari silk, and I didn't like that at all for this purpose. And then I have this pink with yellow bunnies, which you'd think is perfect for this tag, but somehow I didn't like the consistency of it just for this project. So I wanted to use these ribbons. That meant I needed a bigger hole. So this is like your kind of standard hole. I don't know what the size is, but yeah. I don't think it really matters. And now I'm just taking my white hole reinforcers and inking those up, because I just think it looks nicer when they're this brown instead of the regular whites. I think that adds such a nice touch to the tag. You could also, if you don't have an inker, you could also, of course, color those, for example, with markers, or probably even watercolors might work. So now I was trying to place the Happy Easter, and I realized that there wasn't enough space for it, especially now with the hole reinforcers, so I did have to cut them more narrow. And there it fit much better now. And now I'm just going to line up those 3 ribbons. And I actually never thought of that before. If you have some fabric which isn't too thick, you could just tear up strips and use them as ribbon. For some reason I've never thought of that before, but it's a brilliant idea. I don't have a lot of fabric which is long enough to make ribbons out of, but I'll have to see, maybe I have a few. So all I'm doing is just pulling that through and then tying a knot on the top. It's not long enough for a bow, but I don't think it really needs one because having these 3 pieces of ribbon kind of makes it bulky enough or fluffy enough. And I'm just cutting 2 of those down, and that's all really I need to do. And I kind of love that touch of color on the top of that tag, and it's such a happy tag. I think it just makes me happy looking at it, to be honest. Yeah, so that is the spread. So hope you'll give it a try. You don't need to do it with this fabric. Do it with any image that you have that you enjoy, and do something similar. So thanks so much for watching. Bye.